Hello and welcome back to finally another episode of our Bonedo vintage video series. Today's episode is not exactly going to be about vintage drums, but I like this kit so much that we decided to make an episode of it. And yeah, so it's all going to be about the Tama Star Maple series. The Star line was first introduced in 2012 with the goal to achieve the ultimate flagship drum kit. What we have here is a Star Maple. Specs of the Star Maple are as follows. We do have very thin drum shells. Those are 5-ply shells, but there's one speciality about them. They have a very thick 2mm core, which basically means that you get a very rich, very hearty, very warm, but simultaneously very open drum sound, which you normally have when you play steam bend drum shells. This is not a steam bend kit, but it has the sound characteristics of it, which many of the maple or general wood drum freaks are definitely going to love. This is a 10x8 tom, 12x9 tom, 14x10 tom, 16x16 inch floor tom, 18x16 inch floor tom, 26x14 inch bass drum, and a 14x6.5 snare drum with the matching finish. The finish is called satin antique brown. The bearing edges of the kit are all round on every shell. This is personally something which I really like, that shells with round bearing edges are quite easy to tune up due to the increased contact that you have with the head. And this is something which I personally recognized with how easy those shells tune up. Another feature of the drum shell is the so-called sound focus ring. The sound focus ring is not a reinforcement ring. The shell won't collapse without it due to the thick core. It's definitely there to make the sound more concrete, to make it more precise, and to make the overall sound of the shell more clean. Some more features are the hole tight washers, which prevent the drum from detuning. All drums are equipped with die-cast hoops. Another feature are the lugs. The lugs are quite special because they have minimum shell contact. That basically means that the shell is able to vibrate more freely, and it definitely has the chance to breathe a bit more. So what you get is a very clean sustain with really definitely lots of tone. And also another feature, of course, that we all want to have, or at least I want to have. Tama Star line is the only line in the catalog that comes with Remo drum heads. The Star Classic line, for example, or the kits of the Star Classic line are all coming with Evans drum heads. This is not the case with the Star line in general. Typically or normally, the drums come with Ambassador coated heads on the top, Ambassador clear heads on the bottom. On the bass drum, on the better side, there's always a coated Power Stroke 3. On the resonant side, you have the fiber skin Power Stroke Diplomat, I think it's called. And on the snare drum also regular coated Ambassador on the top and the Ambassador Hazy on the bottom. As I'm a heavy hitter, Ambassadors do not suit me that well. Even though I love their sound, those are great heads without any doubt, but they do not suit me that well. So I switched out the better heads with coated Remo Vintage Emperor. This is the traditional Emperor that you got when you bought a Emperor head back in the 70s before the formula or the thickness of the head was changed in the 80s because DuPont could not deliver the 7,5 mil film anymore. I also swapped out the Ambassador coated on the snare drum, so I replaced it with the regular Remo controlled sound head that works in my opinion with literally really every snare drum. And I also swapped out the snare wires. Regularly, the Star Maple snares come with the 20 strand high carbon wires. I found them a tad too scratchy and I did not like them that much, so I swapped them out with the Tama 42 strand snare wires. Actually, they work very well on that drum because the snare beds in general of the Star drums are really very wide. And therefore you get really, even with 42 strands, you get a lot of definition when you play ghost notes or when you play quiet passages. So that works really very well on that snare drum. When I got that kit, I also got the matching Tama Star hardware. And what I also personally like are the quick lock things here. They make it very easy when you dismantle the kit and when you want to set it up again. So it's very easy for me, you know, when I play a gig and I build the kit up to get the exact positions that I want to have when I play. Yeah. As everybody here who watches this video can imagine, Star drums are not very cheap, since they are handcrafted in the Japanese factory by master craftsmen. I had the chance this year to visit the Tama factory in Seto in Japan, as I played a few gigs with a musical project of mine in Tokyo. And as I work very closely with Tama, I had the chance to get an invitation and the chance to visit the factory and to observe how they build their drums. And I have to admit that I was really highly impressed with how they do that. Some people may think, since Tama is such a big brand, that let's say the old school way of building drums, namely building drums by hand, is not that common, but I can assure you this is not the case with the Star line. Really, everything is done by hand by master craftsmen. From selecting the woods, from building the shell, from cutting the bearing edges, from doing the inside of the shells, which are all hand oiled, by the way, from the lacquering process, from the mounting area where the lugs are mounted, cutting the wood inlays. Everything is done meticulously by hand by master craftsmen in Japan. And that was something that, yeah, really, really impressed me a lot. And therefore, you can imagine that, yeah, the prices for such a kit are, yeah. I mean, it has 5 digits, but I can assure you, when you decide to buy such a kit, it's worth every cent. To describe the sound with one word, I would say, yeah, beautiful. It's very articulate. It sounds very, very warm, very open. However, at the same time, it has a nice projection. It tunes up very easily. The build quality, I mean, is absolutely spot on. I think it does not get any better than this. And yeah, I had the chance to configure my kit, and I love big drum shells. I really, really love the sound of them, and I tuned this kit here, let's say medium high, so it's not a kit which currently walks through the deeper ranges of tuning, but as it's the case with big shells, when you tune them up, you get that pure maple tone out of them, and that's what I like. I'm a total maple nerd, and therefore this kit here, at least for me, is really a revelation. And I think so far I never heard a better wooden shell kit than the Star series, and especially the Star Maple series. That's my honest opinion. Okay, that's it for today's episode. If you have any questions or any comments, feel free to comment below. Also, if you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button below, because we are going to shoot some very interesting episodes in the future. So yeah, until then, bye bye.